Hey, Yunus.
Oh, hi. Hi. Are we live yet?
I believe we are live.
Oh. Well, hello. Welcome to the finals for the Zelda 2 Randomizer tournament between Nirm and Digshake. Path here for both of these guys. They mostly have steamrolled their way to get to this point. Nirm lost one match so far to Kool-Ain, and he ended up getting a chance to rematch him and beat him in the quarterfinals. And Digshake went 4-0 in the Swiss rounds and got here. He had to beat me in the semifinals in a best of 3. They went 2-1. So Nirm has had a lot of very fast seeds. He's had maybe 2 in the whole tournament that took over 80 minutes. And I believe that everything in the bracket phase he's done in under 80.
Which is pretty impressive, but then again, that could vary wildly based on the seed you get. Of course, if you're putting up that time in every race you do so far, could be just a coincidence based on the...
Maybe not. So here we are. We're starting.
Hey, that's pretty quick.
Now it looks like Digshake, they've taken different paths here. Digshake already popped into a cave and he found the jump cave from the vanilla game. It's just a pass-through cave that takes you to another part of the world, but it's probably the most difficult one, especially with no candle and low levels. One of the things here, and Nirm has found the P-Bag cave, which has an item in it, but both of them look like they're interested in XP, so they're going to try to kill some stuff. Digshake has decided to leave this encounter because it's too hard.
Yeah, it's a little tough with a orange tire on one side and a red one on the other side.
Yeah, getting sandwiched by those two is not great. Digshake got to the P-Bag tile that he was looking for and did an up A. So when you do an up A on the second controller in the menu, it pulls up the game over screen, and that's an important feature to use for the randomizer. Looks like Nirm found the P-Bag in P-Bag Cave, but this is a lot of experience. He'll be able to pick up some levels here, probably 2-3-3 or 2-2-3. So what they're doing, they're looking for a bunch of caves, and the overworld caves are places that hold items, just like in the original game. And what they're going to be doing this until they find one of a few items, the raft that lets you cross to the other half of the Hyrule in this game, where they would then look for more stuff hanging around in the overworld, or they could find the magical key, which will allow them to get into palaces without having to look for keys. And also they'll be jumping into towns looking for a couple free spells.
Yeah, the ultimate goal of this run is to find and beat all 6 of the regular palaces by placing the gem in each one. And then find the Great Palace, Palace 7, and go ahead and beat Thunderbird and Dark Link to win the game. So in order to do that, they're going to need a few spells and probably several items to make it happen. There are only a couple things in this game that are strictly required, but...
Nirm got 99% of the way across that bridge impressively, only to just get picked off right at the end. My goodness.
It's a lot of trollfish there.
It's not really any different from that type of bridge. It's the same enemy set as...
Yeah,
but
that's vanilla right there. You're gonna see in this randomizer very little as it was in the original game.
Oh! Nirm's found Heart Cave, but there's a blue Garia in here. And you can tell it's the blue one. He's throwing so many boomerangs. Oh my goodness. Oh, no. This one's red. No, it's not. Yeah, so these guys have a bit of adversity with the flags that we're using right now in the finals. First of all, they started with 3 bars of life, which is not normal in the original game. You start with 4 bars. They don't... Of course, in the regular game, you start with nothing. But the game is designed so that you can get to places pretty safely without a candle, and then get a candle very quickly to go through caves. But instead, these guys are in caves that are very difficult without a candle. And ultimately, at the end of the game, they won't even be able to get all 8 of the heart containers because they weren't all put in.
Man, so Dickshake has found several P-Bags here, including one of the 500-point ones, and he's leveled up pretty quickly to 323. This is extremely early in the game for that level.
Yeah,
and
now he's found the glove.
They've both found the glove now, which is probably the most important item in the game. It's not always required, but it is 90% or more of the time required. So it's pretty much the thing you're looking for almost all the time in this game, other than maybe some spells to finish off some of the bosses.
Now it looked like Nerm was in Magic Cave and runs into trouble. I had to refresh a little bit.
Looks like Dickshake's gonna be getting the first spell here. All of the spells that they find in towns in the Western continent will be free. Often when you see Zelda 2 randomizer runs, any spell that they pick up, you'll be able to get right away. But there's a mechanic in the original game that a lot of people aren't aware of, that you need to have the number of magic containers corresponding with that slot on the spell list in order to pick it up.
Right.
And so when we play Zelda 2 Randomizer, we often turn that requirement off, but they're going to have that requirement on. And if they don't get their major required spells early in the run, you might see them hunting magic containers for a while later just to be able to pick up spells.
Right, and because there's no randomizer logic bias toward them being required to get like Thunder or Reflect before placing any gems at all, that means that it's very possible that Reflect or Thunder could end up in one of the later spell slots, and so they'll be having to hunt down magic containers.
Yeah, Reflect in particular is needed for the Palace 4 boss, and
right.
about, I'd say more than half the time playing these flags, I end up having to go into Palace 4 just to be able to get an item to be able to cast Reflect.
Right.
Or learn it.
Yeah, so that's one of the things they're going to have to decide to do here at some point, is whether to go into Palace 4 without the Reflect spell, for example. Having the glove already has taken out some of the mystery for where the glove could be, which is oftentimes one of the big ones. The way the logic in this randomizer works, Dickshake, obviously we see here, he's made a new overworld for the game. And it has all the original palaces, and those palaces can contain the original rooms from the palace in the game, but they're moved around, and the key doors are in the same rooms, but now they're in different relative locations in the palace to where the keys originally were. So, in order to combat the possible potential to soft lock the keys, what they'll be doing is using a trick called door ferrying to go through locked doors in the palaces. So that's one of the things they'll be looking for, is get the fairy spell or the magical key. The fairy spell is very valuable. It's also great to use for defensive purposes.
Yeah, the spell that Dig Shake got before was the fairy spell, right? I believe so. Yeah, Dig Shake has the fairy, which is the #1 most useful spell to learn early, both because it lets you get through locked doors and because in the town where Dig Shake is right now, he'll be able to take that fairy spell and go in and learn downstab, which is extremely invaluable in being able to defeat enemies quickly and being able to avoid having to fight enemies at all.
Yeah, it's a great maneuverability technique. It allows you to bounce on the heads of a lot of the enemies in this game. And as far as being required to beat the game, it very infrequently is actually required, but it's such a big time saver that almost without a doubt you're going to go for it at the soonest possible convenience. And here he's just used Dig Shake's used the fairy spell to just say, forget this encounter, and pass right through it.
Have you ever beaten a seed without downstab?
Oh yeah. But again, like I was saying, it was basically purely out of the purpose of pride, I guess, and stubbornness, because the amount of time that downstab saves in a steed is incredible.
Dig Shake's in the longest of the 5 caves in the west that have an item. The caves in the west that have items, there are the normal caves that have items, which are there's a heart container cave, magic container cave, the medicine cave, and which he was in right now, and then the trophy cave, as well as the one cave that normally has a 200-point P bag in it. And in this cave, the P bags, the big P bags, the 200-point P bag cave in the west and the 2 500-point P bag caves in the east are shuffled into the pool of locations that can have items. So just a few more places for them to look for items.
Dig Shake getting the boost is great.
Yeah.
Boots are another one of the things that, while even before you know that they're required, it's a great time saver. It lets you walk on water, any of the interior waters of Hyrule, where there are no encounters.
Right. In the original game, boots have very limited utility. But in Randomizer, any water tiles that you see, basically, you can assume are walkable until you get to the very edge of the map. So they can be extremely useful for just avoiding all encounters in general and traveling much quicker. And sometimes you might need them just to cross a body of water to get somewhere.
Well, here in Nurm's in Palace 1, I don't know if we've noted that yet.
Yeah, that's important to note.
Palace 1 is the smallest of the palaces in Hyrule. I forget how many rooms exactly it has. It might be as few as 10, maybe 14. It's very simple. There are very few key doors in it, so he should have no problem getting through it with his fairy spell, which appears to be costing all his entire magic bar right now.
Yeah.
No,
he certainly could do with the downstab that we were talking about before, but
here he's going to take a death to refill his magic bar. He knows that there's one more key door between him and the item that's in this room. squeeze through the keyhole. He didn't use the keyhole. And he gets the raft, the required item to get to the other half of Hyrule's overworld.
Yeah, wow. So we've got boots, glove, and raft all found for items, and we've got the reflect spell on Digshake's side, and also the fairy spell already found. So what we're really looking for most of this seed is looking like the thunder spell, which is needed to kill Thunderbird in the final palace. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, for now. Usually not very likely that the recorder is required in this one. Just because
I think we already saw the recorder too.
Oh, do we? Oh, that's right, we do have the recorder on Digshake. So yeah, but the thunder spell is, at this point, it's from where they stand, it's what, a 5 out of 6 chance that it's blocked by finding an item, because they can't get any of the Eastern Continent spells yet, which we assume that they're going to find a magic container at some point. Even if they're not trying, they'll probably find one. But the 2 spells from the Eastern Continent, which they definitely can get with the number of magic containers that they have, they require specific items to unlock.
They can't get any spells in the East with the number of containers that they have, can they?
No, they can't.
Okay, right.
No, I'm 0 out of 6 chance of getting any spells right now with what they have.
Right. Looks like Digshake's stream's having a few issues.
Looks... oh, no, it's still going. He's in a tough room here. The crumbling bridge with the hammer-throwing guy right on the other side of it is possibly one of the more difficult enemy layouts in the game.
Yeah, I've been pretty proud of myself at times to make it through when there was 2 of those hammer throwers on the left side of that bridge.
Oh yeah, you should be. The tools that you get in this game, they're, downstab and the various spells that can all be used to handle certain enemy situations. And picking the right one is sometimes important because you start using spells, you're going into your resources, and sometimes you need those. So getting through an encounter like that, sure, Digshake could have, with a full magic bar, just varied to pass through that trouble bridge room, but then he might get to a spot where he's blocked. And has to die anyway. Now, the sword technique will not be added to the tracker Radiant Ice, but you can probably see them use the sword technique about 10 times per second.
Except for upstab.
Except for upstab, no.
Yeah.
Which they will only get and really use to probably pass through a certain room in the Great Palace if it's required. Which could happen, because we've got way off in the distance, like over an hour from now, the full-size Great Palace. Which is different from what anybody might have seen so far, except for Digshake in my 3rd race. Out of the 3 series we did, we played a full Grand Palace in that one. But that was a bonus for the viewers and for ourselves.
Yeah, most of the races in this tournament so far have had a shortened Great Palace, which is something that Digshake put into the randomizer. He basically just took out a lot of the 2-way rooms where you can only go left or right or up or down. so that there's a lot less walking period and a lot less enemies to deal with, and there are still the same number of decisions to make in directions to go, but the path that you have to take to make those decisions is much shorter.
Right. Yeah, so taking out none of the elevators from the original Grand Palace means that yeah, exactly the same number of directional decisions to make. What the Long Grand Palace is going to add is decisions on how to use resources. Which is one of the big things in this game. There's a lot of resource management.
So Nirm seems to have a slight lead here. He's got the Palace 1 gem placed, and Digshake is on his way to do that, and I think they all have the same spells and items at this point. And Nirm's gonna head east. Looks like he was thinking about going somewhere else. He's realizes now this is Palace 3 and Palace 6 are the only palaces that you can't distinguish immediately from the start screen. You know, there are two top column types that help us to tell, or there are 3 different column types, each of them used by 2 of the palaces that help us to tell the palaces apart. And 3 and 6 are the only 2 that we can't tell apart. But he goes into the palace, sees a room that's unique to Palace 6 out of the 2 of 3 and 6, and decides that he's not going to go in there right now.
Yeah, and that's purely a decision based on how resources can limit his speed. At the time, he's got attack 2, which means the boss of the dungeon could take, I don't know how many hits, like 60 maybe? And that he has, you know, he can cast Fairy once per life. So he's going to go ahead and say, no, I'll come back to that later with more levels and get it done faster.
Yeah. Instead, there are also a ton of key doors in Palace 6, and there are no keys, right?
Well, there are going to be actually many keys now, because the shuffling of the keys in the P bags. Originally, yeah, there are no keys in Palace 6, but there's a bunch of P bags, and so in the randomizer, P bags and keys are shuffled with each other. Nevertheless, he's in Palace 3 now, which is the second shortest palace, and he'll be in much better shape here to get this palace done effectively. He can cheese the boss.
You can also end up stockpiling keys in Palace 3.
Yeah, you pass right by keys, and you might not even use them.
So, in the original Palace 6, there were no keys, but and in many times, many times when we play this randomizer, we play with extra keys on, where every P bag would be a small key in a dungeon.
Right now, Nirm is in a room that really shows off how moving enemies around in Zelda 2 Randomizer can make it very interesting. He was trying to make his way up that block staircase with some enemies, bouncing over them to gain elevation, and he almost, you know, it was pretty impressive what he did, but he almost did something really cool by getting all the way up that without taking any damage on that previous life.
Alright, Nirm's found the item.
Here he's gonna use his reflect magic in order to get by this guy who would otherwise clobber him in that narrow passageway.
Yeah, I think reflect has some uses that you would never see in a normal run of the game, but in the randomizer, you have to make do with the resources that you have and try to be creative. So reflect actually blocks quite a number of projectiles that would otherwise just eat Link alive, basically.
I typed that early. Anyway. Yeah, Nerm just found the hammer.
Yeah.
So that opens up locations, but that's right now that's not a immediately useful thing to have.
Right. I feel like they got all of the item caves in the west. Did you see any hammer block caves?
No, I don't
notice
believe there were any. Well,
So-
Trophy Cave. Did they ever get in the Trophy Cave?
Yeah, they definitely got trophy cave.
Okay, then yeah, they've been in all the caves, I think.
Right.
So it's just Spectacle Rock and Death Mountain.
Yeah. So there's one location in Death Mountain. Sometimes there's one boulder in Death Mountain. It's pretty obvious when you see it. They'll break it and they'll find an item there. Sometimes it's easy to get to, sometimes it's not. So we'll see if Nier ever heads that way. It's certainly quite possible that he will. And he takes down the boss of Palace 3. Oh, I didn't see which palace is Digshake in here.
He's in Palace 2, it would
Okay.
look like.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like either 2 or 5, and you'd hope he might not be in 5 this quickly, but I wouldn't hold it against him.
Yeah, if 5 were out of the way, I could see him in it with 4 attack. Oh, the Psych Out dead end. Hate that room. Yeah, what we saw Nerm doing there was when entering the Rebenak fight, if he stands on a certain pixel, which is very easy to pick up, you put your Link's toe against a certain line. It makes the Rebenak's charge stop right at the edge of the screen, and then you can just bounce on his head until he falls off the horse, and then you continue bouncing on his head in the corner and just dealing damage in a certain pixel. You just saw Digshake as he downstabbed over that Iron Knuckle. He did damage with the downstab, but that's actually, I think, about a pixel perfect thing to deal damage. Like
Is
that.
it? I
Yeah.
thought it was just a random, like, luck, depending on if he decided to lower his guard that moment or something, but never considered the fact that it could be a pixel perfect thing.
As far as I can tell, in my experience, when there's not like a ceiling to force you down into his hitbox, or the side of the screen where Rebenak gets his hitbox glitched out, you've got to land either on the first pixel of his right half or the last pixel of his left half, probably the first pixel of his right half.
Man, the
Yeah, this game's tough.
enemies here in the east can do a lot of damage quickly.
Yes.
If your life level is low. Near him even took the heart and died. I don't think he was going for a death warp there.
No, that cave's really tough. It's one of the scariest caves when you're in the dark. There are 4 flying enemies in there. In the original game, they're I think there are couple blue moas, or no, maybe it's just all 4 of the those red eyeballs that wink.
Yeah, I think it is. The red ones.
Those ones hit very hard. They're one of the hardest hitting enemies in the game. They just move very slowly. So those in the dark are pretty tough. You can't see them, and they do half your life.
So, Nier took a step into Nuke Pseudo there. Did he check to see how many magic containers are necessary? The item there?
I don't know they did.
No. It's just a few steps into the town, so I think it's usually worth it. He can't do anything else in the town at the moment because he doesn't have the spell, and he doesn't have enough magic containers for the spell.
Right. So I'd still be a little bit curious. He'll need 7 magic containers to get the spell out of the town, but he might need as few as 5 to get the item that's blocked by the lady who wants you to have magic containers.
Oof.
So, oh, Valley Death Encounter in the path
Forest?
tile?
In the forest, I think.
That was in the forest? Okay.
I
I thought I saw him appear on the path when he came out. Dig Shake's fighting Helmet Head. Easy fight.
Yeah, generally easy, but at low levels, that guy can hit you pretty hard.
Yeah. The longer the fight goes on, the more difficult it gets because the heads start getting to the middle of the screen, and their fireballs are very weak, but the ones that come out of the main body are actually pretty strong, and 2 or 3 of them might kill you from full life.
Near upon the cross, that's gonna make the invisible enemies visible. One of the least helpful items that you can find generally.
Right. It's not very... When you need it the most are against blue MOAs, and when you are likely to run into those, you're probably also in a dark screen. So without a candle, it's not really that useful. But he does make progress on his full Joshi D, which actually is slightly impossible because we can't get 8 magic heart containers. That's a shame.
Hey, a magic container.
So that will allow Nurm to get access to the spell from the fire town of Nibiru and maybe that item that he didn't check the requirement for. Dig Shake is in P5 now. I like this color.
Yeah, there are... Originally on Maze Island, there are 2 drop locations where the magic container is and where the kid is. So, those are randomly placed around the island now. So you're seen near... Look around the island for those 2 items. And it's either magic containers or spell items that he's wanting to see.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't expect him to go diving into palaces looking for those items, but if they're just sitting here in a maze in the overworld, seems reasonable to check for them.
Well, we're kind of running out of item locations, too. Gonna be palaces or Death Mountain pretty soon.
I've actually probably missed noticing a lot of the item locations, like the desert tile.
Yeah, the desert tile had the cross.
Right, okay. And then the water tile, did we hit
I don't
yet?
think we did see the water tile yet.
Okay. And the pea bag cave that...
There was... Yeah, we just saw the one pea bag cave, I believe.
nasty one. Yeah. The easy one was... I haven't noticed.
Yeah, one of those desert tiles that near by right now has the item.
Right.
So right near Maze Island. Near might be in the lead, but it's very close.
Yeah,
it's really hard to judge right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even try to make that an appraisal on that right now.
Yeah. They're doing wildly different things here, so until they converge at some point, it's going to be hard to judge who's ahead. I have to take care of something.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Sure thing. So right now we're seeing another feature of the randomizer, and that's called bullet time. Whenever a screen gets overloaded with too many enemies, the game just automatically goes in this thing called bullet time. I believe Dig Shake invented it, but it only happens when you need it, and it goes away when you don't. And it goes away when you kill the enemies. Nerm's on zombie mode after that encounter. Heading up north. Meanwhile, Big Shake has started over in Palace 5. I guess he wants to head a different direction. Alright, Nerm has found the town of Naburu, the original location of the fire spell, which is just the greatest spell ever made. But you can get this item, or the spell now, because he has the 5 magic containers required to do it. We ran out of... Okay, he got blocked out. Yeah, so this is one of the things where right now, Dig Shake is kind of spinning his tires a little bit because he has 4 bars of magic. The fairy spell is still costing practically his entire magic bar. But he's found Guma, so he's going to get out of here quickly. Nerm might have a faster time in this palace, but Dig Shake ended up where he did, probably because he followed the exploration meta for palaces. We would expect Nerm to do the exact same thing. It's hard to tell if Nerm will cut time on Dig Shake when Nerm gets Palace 5. Dig Shake's taking a conservative approach here, fighting Guma. What is the magic word? Did he learn the please spell? Ask the enemies to just stop attacking us and turn into little blue blobs. Alright, Dig Shake places his 3rd gem, and he's through what is many may argue is the hardest of the 6 palace bosses. Yeah, that was actually a pretty smooth Guma fight for attack 4. It can take a long time sometimes. So, yeah, one of the features that's randomized in this particular flag set is how effective the levels are. So the normal, numerical damage value for attack levels, attack level 1 is 2, attack level, 2 is 3 damage, and so on, and it continues in this sort of, not quite Fibonacci-ish way, but it scales upward, and every couple of levels you double your damage, for the most part. But the randomized values, attack 4 could be anywhere from, I don't know, maybe 3 to 12 damage. I think they've probably got a positive roll here, on average. Or maybe 3 to 9. I think it can go up or down 50% of the original value. Yeah, it looks like Dig's gonna go look for the item. I guess what he would be looking for right now is a magic container, because he has none of them. He's found none of the 4 magic containers sitting out in the world. He expects to need at least one of them. He knows that he's probably gonna need at least one of them, or a spell item that could be in here. The kid, the trophy, the medicine, all these things are blocking spells right now. So yeah, he's making a call here to spend extra time in this place and get something. He'll almost certainly find one of those things. The worst thing he could find, it would be the candle. But he did place the gem, and then he turned around. Yeah, that was his 3rd gem placed. Nerm's heading to the back of Spelltown and uses the please spell to make a building appear. Oh, Dig already has the candle? Oh. And finds the magic key in its vanilla location. I'm gonna blame Mr. Fred Coughlin for that one. Take up words with him later. So in that house that Nerm's passing by is one of the sages with the spells, but because he doesn't have 7 magic containers, he won't be able to learn it yet. Dig Shake's ready for Palace 6. What did Dig Shake get out of P5? It's so hard to watch 2 things. I only have 2 eyeballs. I need both of them for one screen. We couldn't randomize everything. Sorry, this is only half of a randomizer. It was a pee bag? Oh my goodness. Wish I could have seen his camera when he got that. Big dead
Okay,
end
I'm
and-
back.
Wow, not even an item. Okay, so while you were gone, Nerm got a magical key from Spelltown's building.
Sure.
Yeah.
The opening building, you mean?
No, the one that has the naughty name. And Dig Shake left P5. He went looking for an item and got nothing. Now Dig Shake's in P6 and he's fighting one of the mini boss Revenacks.
So it seems like the difference in what's going on here is Nirm is focusing on finding the items that he needs to beat the game on the overworld, and Big Shake is going through the palaces.
Yeah, Nerm got the spell out of the Buru. And there we saw how in a narrow passageway the downstab will actually put you inside the hitbox of the Iron Knuckle and let you deal damage to it and also pass through it pretty easily. I'm sure we've seen that before, and here Nerm's going to pick up the item from the water tile. Oh, which is the trophy. Does Dig Shake not have that yet? I wonder how long it'll be before Dig Shake or Nerm decides to go cash in his trophy. He has to go back to the Western Continent to find out what spell will grant him. But if he were to get the Thunder Spell from that, he could stop looking for magic containers for sure.
I mean, he'd be set to go for the game pretty much then, right?
Right.
There was no scenario where something would really be needed for him. He's even got the magic key to make his life in the palace a ton easier.
Yeah, he can coast. Yeah, so the trophy, which is originally stolen by the Garia of Tantari Desert, ended up finding its way onto a little island.
So it looks like Nirm did decide to go back to the west here.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Right. Yeah.
Considering...
This is very important information, really.
Yeah. Information is where would you put the value of information in this randomizer?
Man, see, the decision here that Nirm has to deal with is that, you know, he wants to check this spell that the trophy gives him as soon as possible, but there's another spell item out there, the medicine, that would also give him a spell on the Western Continent. So, you know, you don't want to keep on going back and forth between the continents. So you have to kind of weigh your time to check this one spell to see what it's going to give you versus the time just to check it or to keep looking for more items.
Right. Basically, the amount of backtracking this adds. Yeah. And
oh my goodness.
And he gets a Thunder Spell. He's set. He's in great shape. Dig Shake has just dug one of the magic containers out of P6 that Nerm's not going to do.
Yeah, so Dig Shake's got a definite lead in gems being placed here, but Nirm's going to catch up very quickly.
Right. Nerm will be at full speed going through palaces 5, 6, and 4. And he also has 2 to do.
Regarding that decision of when do you go back to check those spells, I think if you have more than one spell that you need, you're much less hesitant to go back right away. But if it's something where, right now, where it's basically go mode, or what uh, we would call in Z2 Randomizer full dig shake. It's very tempting to just do it immediately so that you know.
Yeah, right. Because if it is the spell, he's done. If it's not, or he decides to keep looking for stuff, the amount of time it's going to take to look for these other items could actually be quite significant in the places that he has to find them still.
And this magic key, you can see all the time that Dig Shake is spending here that Nirm is going to save with the magic key. Dig Shake is going into all these side rooms and going under the block staircase to dig up more keys, and that's just something that Nirm is not going to do.
Yeah, it's going to save Nirm minutes. Something in the order of minutes, not just seconds.
The magic key is such a tough item to deal with, I think, because, you know, if it's out in the open, you never want to miss it, but you hesitate to dig for it because, you know, it could be just buried in Palace 6 in a very terrible place or something, and, you know, it could be in the last place you find it, or you look for it, or it could be in the first place, so, well, it's always in the last place, you know how it goes, but...
Your keys are okay. So anyway, yeah, you're right. And if you're digging for it in the palace, you're diminishing the advantage of having it once you find it.
Right. If the magic key is the only thing that you need, you don't want to really be looking for items.
No, not at all. Nirm is going to... Oh, he's going to get his level. Okay. So what Nirm's doing here, he's beating the boss and he's gotten the boss XP, but he wants to turn around. He wants to kick his XP over this barrier so that he can get attack 5 from placing the gem instead of, you know, magic 4 as he would right now. I don't know if we talked about that very much.
So what you're saying is he's grinding for experience?
He's grinding. He's grinding, and he has a dripper, but the dripper is a 20 XP enemy, and instead of getting experience, he gets a nice soothing lava bath.
He's got to be careful here. He's going to lose that experience he does have if he doesn't... Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah, I think he got everything he could ever ask for.
Yeah. And then 3 guys to step on.
Yeah. Those drippers can drop anything that's a setting in the randomizer. They can drop pretty much any palace enemy that you can think of. And when those enemies fall, they'll have the same HP as the bots that normally would come out of those drippers. So you can get 500 point Magos, the orange guys that shoot the flames, and they'll be just like candy to feed on there. There are a couple distinct, well, there are a couple general leveling styles in this game, I would say. One is to focus on the attack level, and try to gain attack levels as you go in the beginning, and then maybe later, then you can get a big boost of experience from hitting the attack's experience target, and then dump it all into life and magic. And the other is to just take levels as you go.
Right.
The first one is going to generally give you much higher levels at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one is just faster, usually.
Yeah. So if you go for getting your attack level up so that you can get big boost toward the end of the game, yeah, you might get higher total levels. And in this particular flag setting, that might be important. It might potentially hamstring you early if you are unable to cast the fairy spell efficiently, or you, in general, just use your spell resources, and it can cost you lives or something like that, and having to take time to death warp additionally. It can lose you time in that way, whereas if taking all the levels as soon as you can, the main disadvantage is that attack levels are more expensive, so they're going to come later and you're going to spend more time hitting stuff for a while.
So Nirm has an item, a spell, and information advantage here. Digshake has a gem advantage. He's got 4 of them placed in Nirm's 3. And it's significant to note that he's got palaces 5 and 6 done, which are the 2 biggest palaces. And Nirm's just got 1, 2, and 3. So, Nirm has a lot of ways to go in the rest of this race to catch up in terms of placing those gems, but he should be able to do it pretty quickly. The question here right now is, will he be able to do it quickly enough? And we see Nirm jump over an invisible hole there, sometimes called by Zelda 2 speedrunners the Canadian hole, due to lots of Canadians falling down that hole. It's kind of hard to make that jump without the jump spell unless you really know where that hole is.
Yeah, this tile set in particular, I find a bit the second most difficult tile set to make that jump on because of the tiny thin little lines. And when you're actually playing this game, and sometimes when you're moving across a room and it's scrolling with these thin line tiles, they'll blur on the TV. So it makes me go cross-eyed a little bit, and I will not hit that jump moving. I've got to stop to do it. But you need momentum to make it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of hard to do.
It's very difficult to do from a 0 velocity jump.
Huh. Kind of surprised to see Nirm going after this item.
I am too. I don't know what he's looking for, but he's having a great time.
Yeah, this item in particular is easily the longest time-consuming item to get, just from the moment you enter the item room to leaving it.
Yeah, I haven't checked what his Thunder Spell costs yet, but here's the one thing that's on his mind possibly. He's in full Dig Shake, but we do have the Long Grand Palace flag on, which means that there are 57 rooms in the Grand Palace, so he might be worried about how important resources are going to be for getting through that on one continue, potentially, which, at this level of competition, getting through a Long Grand Palace in one continue would be huge. It could be the difference between a win and a loss for him. Are you supposed to jump in those 3? Yeah, you can jump 3 tall blocks. I'm pretty sure that they realized when they built the mechanics for this game that at full speed, at the right distance, you could jump 3 blocks.
Nirm just found a little loop there, I think. The geometry of these palaces is decidedly non-Euclidean, so
yeah,
you can't try to make sense of them too much. At least the connections are consistent, but they don't have to make sense at all.
You have to kind of look at it in maybe a 3D space and occasionally a 4D space, maybe.
Just to add another D.
Just keep it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make sense, add a D. Flat Hyrule theory. Oh, yeah. This is the BGT room. This was named by somebody.
You want to just take those guys out, otherwise they're gonna keep coming in.
Yeah, even Simple Dude or JN or other top runners, when they do that room in vanilla, are going to be taking out those heads. Those heads they're trouble, and it's much easier to just get them out of the way.
Who's this guy that doesn't use the great feature of turning off the beep?
He usually does turn off the beep.
Huh.
Must be nervous.
You would think he probably wanted it after he put it in there.
Although I also believe that he turns off he doesn't even play with his game sound on. He just listens to the music or special punishment for us, I suppose.
I don't know how you could play without any game sound.
Nah, I like the game sound.
Right, but I mean, it helps to have the confirmation that you're hitting something, or besides just looking at things.
Oh yeah,
Sound effects.
I'm listening to this with the game sound on because I want to hear the game sound, and it helps me know what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice synchronization and placing gems right there.
Yeah, so Dig Shake putting in the P3 gem, Nirim putting in the P6 gem.
Dig Shake's gonna do a small bit of grinding. About the most you might ever see Dig Shake do.
50 XP. Oh, come on, fly! Oh. So what Dig Shake needs to find at this time to stay in this match is he needs to find the water tile. He needs to find that water tile and get that trophy. If you don't do it soon, it's gonna be in a lot of trouble. Although he'll be in less trouble than normal because of the size of the Great Palace. That Great Palace is gonna be... It's gonna be hard to say who has an advantage at any point because of the size of the Great Palace and the potential to game over right before Darklink.
Right. I think this is a Thunderbird required seed, though. So that means that when we see Thunderbird, that will be kind of a benchmark that they're actually on the right path towards Darklink to beat the game.
Right. So hopefully we'll see him in the second room so that we know that there are 50-something rooms left on the logical path. Wow. So I think Nurm also wants to have shield or life, or possibly even the jump spell. Why would you say no to any of those things right now? Any of those things in the Grand Palace are gonna make survival a lot more likely. Yeah.
They're gonna get more than their fair share of casts.
Yeah. I think in particular, the first thing you'd probably want is the life spell because you don't have to use it proactively to protect yourself, and he gets the life spell. So we'll see how important that one was to him here in a minute, based on where he goes. But if you have the life spell and you're still not secure in how you're gonna do, I'd say the jump spell is the next one because of how it can help you avoid certain encounters and give you access to more of the red jars.
Yeah, it's notable here that the amount that the life spell refills is randomized. So it can be kind of useless too sometimes.
Yeah.
If it's expensive and it's only refilling one heart, then it might not be much of a help at all. But then again, sometimes it can be pretty cheap and refill 5 bars, in which case, it's a godsend. So he's gonna get upstabbed too here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think of the Long Grand Palace,
Do you think that Nirm feels like he might be ahead based on finding Thunder?
I definitely would, because he didn't spend a lot of time to get to the point of Thunder. He from what I could tell, he went through the game and looked for locations based on what was the next easiest thing to do. What's the next easiest thing to do? And that resulted in him getting the Thunder spell without having to dig any large palaces. I would definitely feel like I'm in great shape.
Alright, so I didn't see where Nirm's life was originally exactly. It looked like it might have filled at least a couple bars. I'm not sure.
I'm okay not knowing that until Grand Palace when we'll see it for the first time when it really matters, probably.
Yeah. It's not something that's necessarily going to control his decisions, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Big Shake still... Where did he just get 1,500 more XP from? Did he...
Well, he picked up a 500 bag, and then, he must have...
Yeah.
I think he must have killed at least one enemy, or, you know, something stuck in the ground. Oh, he's finding the water tile.
Finding the water tile. Now... We expect to see him up A as soon as he gets this right. He's not up A.
Well, he's got 1,500 experience.
Oh, that's a terrible reason to...
Especially for Dig Shake. Does he still have another P-Bag cave to find or anything? I don't know what his mission is right now.
Yeah, I don't know. He's grinding.
I think those orange ones might be worth 500.
Only the blues can go up to 500, but I would,
Okay.
for the amount of XP he has, you have to think he found the 500 enemy somewhere, right?
Man, you know, or Dig Shake, if you had the Thunder spell,
Oh,
you'd be able to get a bunch of experience right there.
oh, okay. Oh, no, he's not. He's not gonna fight those. Okay. Orange can go up to 300. The way Dig Shake set up the XP randomization is the original game actually has sprites that display how much XP an enemy gives, and so because nobody volunteered to make him any new sprites for different XP values, he just used the original XP values in the game, and so an enemy can go up or down 2 XP values from the original game. So original Orange was alpha was 150. The next highest number that was in the game was 200, and then 300. And also they can go down. They can go down to 100, the next number down, and then 70.
So I think we can kind of accurately predict Nirm's leveling plan here. He's going to want to take attack 7 at the Palace 4 gem here, and then use the attack 8 experience amount to put into life and then magic at the Palace 5 gem.
Yeah. Attack 6 is originally... What is it? Is it 4,000 around? Yeah. So, if he uses... Attack 7 isn't that much better than 6. Especially because in the Grand Palace you're not going to kill a whole lot of stuff. Basically for the T-Bird fight. He could use the 4,000 XP twice for his life and magic levels, or he can use something around 6,000 XP once for his magic and life levels. What could happen if he goes up to 7 and attack 7 is only, 5,000 XP, he only gets 5,000 XP to spend on life and magic levels, which I would think that he probably puts into life as many times as he can. But I wouldn't say, for having a long Grand Palace ahead of him, being at 634 right now might not be the most comforting thing, even with 2 gems left. Dig Shake's 556 with 1 gem left.
I feel like Nirm's in a much better position.
Yeah.
For leveling, for sure.
Well, yeah, he's going to end up with probably better levels because magic... I haven't paid enough attention to what the spells are costing. But oftentimes, higher magic level really doesn't have any benefit.
The magic costs in Randomizer are randomized. They're pretty much always cheaper than vanilla.
Right.
Almost always. Man, Dig Shake is set to get some magic spells now.
Yeah.
Let's see how he prioritizes the trophy that he's got, or if he's going to go back to some towns and look for some spells first.
Right. From here, he can check some towns, so he can get sucked into going to New Kasuto right now, which is not going to be the spell he needs, but it is going to be life.
Right.
But if he went back to Rudo on the western continent, he still has to sail back here ultimately for the Grand Palace. Where's Palace 4 at? Is
Palace 4 is that's at the Valley of Death.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's going there now?
Man, I really want to see Dig Shake just get this level 5.
Yeah. I guess that is what is holding him up.
Well, maybe he wants to do Palace 4 too, because it's not a hard item to get, and just you know, he could get the medicine at the same time, perhaps, out of there.
I think he really wants to up A, but he doesn't want to dump this level because of those things that you were saying. That maybe he also gets to check this cave. Okay. Oh. Well, Nurm finishes off Karok, which is a dumb boss. No, seriously, Karok requires a reflect spell. You sit in the corner and you reflect his beams until RNG grants you the required number of hits to beat him.
So let's see if Dig Shake up and A's. Yeah, he's not up and A yet. He's still looking for something. Or not. Well, he's sitting in the water and thinking.
Yeah, this is...
He might be a little lost.
I think decision-wise, this is... I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking right now. He's trying to make a decision, and maybe,
okay.
I guess he's trying to remember how to get here. No, we didn't have a kid.
Yeah, this is near Spelltown. He's gonna go there.
Okay.
And meanwhile, Nirm is in Palace 5. He's just got to finish this one off, and then...
No, what Dig Shake, I guess what his decision was, he wanted to come here, and this town is going to give him 3 things. It's going to give him 2 items and a spell, which that's a high amount of location exploration. Which is something that I would definitely want to do before I up an aid, back to check what my trophy was good for.
You would think that he would up an A from the end of town.
I think that I would completely expect him to do that.
Which makes it a little surprising that he bothered to stab the key bag there.
I think he just wanted to show who was boss. Did he have a beam sword when he did that?
You know, I wasn't watching closely to
I think
to see if...
he might have missed an opportunity there. We recently discovered that placing a P bag or a key, which never happens, into this town allows it to be picked up with the beam, which is not normal behavior.
You could have a red jar in town too.
You could have a red. Yeah, okay. I think you could pick up the red jar too then. Yeah, so you can pick these things up with a beam. We recently, 2 separate players had that happen and became befuddled.
Dig Shake is walking it out.
He is.
Huh. We'll definitely have to...
Yeah, I should be writing these things down.
Has he found Nuruburu yet? Which spell was there?
He has been there. It was the spell.
Okay.
In the meantime, Nurm he's in Palace 5, going after his last gem.
like there aren't any other spells you can get here. He can go to Palace 4. I think that the thing I was saying about, you know, going to Palace 4 and maybe it has the medicine, you can check both spells at once. Maybe that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, I think he's playing it, I would say, pretty conservatively, in a way. He wants it by basically getting as many things as possible before he starts checking what they're good for. He's found the other item cave here, which... Have we even seen it yet? This could be the kit or the medicine as well. I think likely it is the kit or the medicine because we've seen so much other stuff. We haven't seen either of those two things. It's not the Octorok. It's a heart container.
Yep, that's the last heart then. 7 is the max for...
So, Death Mountain... Does that mean that Death Mountain has the medicine and the kit in it?
Where's the... Oh, I guess there was... They each have a magic container that the other doesn't have, right?
That's right. Yeah, I think so.
So, that sounds right.
That or the Palace 4 item. I don't know that we saw Nerm get Palace 4's item.
So there's no way that Dig Shake's gonna end up going to Death Mountain because he'll check the trophy
and if he does, we're gonna look like idiots.
Well, at least one person involved here will.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see that. So it would look like it's likely that Dig Shake's going to come out of Palace 4 with levels 5, 6, 7. At this point, I would, in most cases, regard Magic 6 as being useless, or potentially very likely to be useless. Nerm took attack 7 out of the last Palace, so we'll expect him to come out of Palace 5, probably with, what do you think, 7, 4, 7?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Something like that is most likely. You never know exactly where you're going to end up because the experience value is being randomized.
Yeah. But
you don't even know what attack 8's going to give. That's probably the biggest factor.
Mm-hmm. Right, but in any case, we would say 7x7 is the outcome.
This doesn't seem to be going as smoothly for Nier as it could. I don't know why he's killing so many of these guys. Is he looking for a jar?
He's in the room left of Guma right now, isn't he? I believe that was Guma not just right of one of these two elevators? I don't remember which one it was.
Oh, wait, did he already kill Guma?
I'm gonna say no because we didn't commentate on it. But that's just doubling down. Yeah, I'd say that I'm gonna double down on that one. I'm sure that whatever the case is, doesn't look good for us.
He's apparently already killed him. That's just how good these guys are.
Yeah, they're just really fast.
Hardest boss in the game is nothing to them.
He has attack 7.
That's true. That's a factor. I think I noticed it, but we were talking. So.
Yeah, the case of what Dig Shake is needing to get done here is particularly
this is important grinding though. This is not something that I would say you can just pass up because
it would be incredibly foolish to not get this next big level up.
The only thing I would question here is if there's somewhere faster he can go, but at this point he's obviously committed. He just needs one more.
Right.
There we go. And now he just got 7,000 experience to pour into life and magic once he places this gem. Man, he's that had to be eating him up that whole time he was sitting there. You're in the championship of this tournament, and you're just waiting for some guys to fall from this tripper.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't think 800 experience in Palace 5 is a tall order at all.
Not normally, no.
Yeah, it's odd.
Well, that's what randomized enemies will do, though. You just get to a Goomba and it's like, wow, I got through this palace. And obviously Goomba didn't give a lot of experience either.
Alright,
Here
so
we
we're
go.
dumping it all into life first.
Life, that's a pretty cheap Life 7. That's incredible, but the Life 8 was very expensive.
Looks like 757 is going to be the final tally. Pretty workable.
Yeah, no, this is... That extra magic level, going 4 to 5, probably knock down a few points on some spell. Nerm just has to haul it over to Maze Island now.
Yeah. And Nirm's Thunderbird fight is going to be notably faster than Dig Shake's, most likely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't see Dig Shake having a path to attack 6 right now.
And though you don't kill a lot of things in Great Palace, that's an option sometimes to get around certain rooms, and it's much less of an option if you've got attack 5 than if you've got attack 7. Does it feel to you like Big Shake is not comfortable with his levels?
Yeah, I would say turning him out to pick up that P bag.
Yeah.
He's willing to take the chance that this Palace 4 could take him enough time and throw enough experience at him that he could pick up this level. And, or skip it, I think either way. It's kind of, you just skip it, but...
Yeah. So,
I guess.
Man, this is a significant lead for Nirm going back into, or going into the Great Palace here. I mean, Dig Shake still has to place his gem, and then he has to get Thunder. He's probably gonna go immediately to,
Ruto,
whatever,
I think.
Jump Town to
Yeah.
cash in that trophy.
Yeah. We had about an entry of just after 116 for Nirm, which, based on how the seed was going at first, I thought that he might have gotten in here just over an hour maybe, but definitely slowing down to pick up more resources, and maybe the length of some of the palaces put that back a bit.
Yeah, I mean, based on what we've seen, he's made the right call, but if Dig Shake had followed the same overworld path as him, he might have lost some time there. Ooh, Fairy is still expensive.
Yep.
Magic 5, but...
It is. And he has to spend it right away. This is one of the rooms that often gets removed from Shortened Grand Palace. And so that's one of the times that we can say that although most of the time the Long Grand Palace adds insignificant rooms, that's definitely significant in terms of resources and what it's going to do to the length of this Grand Palace.
Yeah, there are only a couple rooms where Fury is absolutely required in Great Palace, and you don't often see them in Short Great Palace.
Here's something that Nirm's not going to have later, is that particular fairy refill. So that's early.
Well, that unless he up and A's, because that's awfully early. So.
Oh yeah. Big Shake immediately has picked up the Thunder Spell. Ooh, nice little puzzle here.
Oh no! That's a bad fall by Nier there.
Not very costly, but
Yeah, just falling down in there with that spicy chicken, as we like to call him.
All right, so got a pretty early Thunderbird here. We've seen just the one branch left at the fairy room.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. That fairy spell that he had to cast to get to this point has forced him into a death warp to be able to cast the thunder spell to fight Thunderbird. Yeah. So he basically gets a 1 life penalty just because of that fairy room.
I would be tempted to consider up an A right away, because he's like, not only did he lose that 1 life, but now he's almost out of magic on his 2nd life.
Yeah.
And magic is kind of like your life bar in this game, because you can, when you've got the life spell in particular, because you can use that magic to refill your life as long as you have more magic.
No, you're right. This is he should up an A after this. Whether or not he does is not necessarily me judging his decision, but I think that he should. I think it's a smart move. But I think that at the same time, I could definitely make an argument for keeping him on, because you don't know how difficult it's going to be, and you continue to get information in the Grand Palace on this continue, knowing and expecting that you are going to game over at some point anyway, and then the next time you come through, you go a different direction.
Yeah. You know, it's notable that we did see that 1 branch. It's possible, you know, maybe highly unlikely, but it's possible that Darklink was in the next room, or the next room after that.
Right.
You just don't know until you go and look. Oh,
that's fun.
Yeah.
This is one of the rooms that the jump spell would really help in. It's not the most unfortunate setup, though. If one of those blue birds had been in the first slot where that little spiky Mew was, that would have been much worse. Much more difficult to deal with. And the up stab's going to help him navigate these rooms a little more easily in the future. Dig Shake is...
Oh, man.
What time did he get in here? Oh...
If he can work this guy off screen, oh man. All right, well, he got his refill one way or another.
Yep. There's a bit of a technique where you can jump up those crumble blocks without breaking them, so that when you pop the jar or bird block, he just falls on the block and you walk under him safely. Little things like that will save you entire game overs in this randomizer.
Yeah, because ideally what you want to do there is hit that block, and if it's the bird, you can...
Well, look at this. There is a significant difference between Magic 5 and Magic 6.
Oh, in terms of fairy cost?
Uh-huh, look, I mean, it saved him an entire life already.
And we've got 2 required uses of fairy already in this palace.
And he can cast fairy on this amount of magic that he has left, I think. It's very cheap.
Wow.
But he needs to not die here.
Yeah.
And this attack 5 is basically making his T-Bird fight take twice as long as Nerm's. He's going to use that magic on Reflect for defensive purposes. The Reflect spell, it'll let his shield block these fireballs if it interacts with the hitbox correctly.
Yeah, that also makes the hitbox a little bit smaller too. But
that's right.
Unfortunately, if the fireball goes right in the middle of the hitbox,
it still does damage. The way the shield works in this game, I couldn't even explain it really, but you can sometimes block things from behind. So Nerm has started back at the beginning. I don't know I missed what put him there.
Yeah, I'm guessing he hit a dead end. There was a decision shortly after that second fairy use, wasn't there?
Yeah, so if, you find a dead end like that and you're back and you're down to your last life, yeah, that's a good time to up A. Will Thunderbird stay dead? Yes, Thunderbird is permanently dead once you pick up his key. Nerm is in the room with the where you fall into and you can go either way from that fall. So you can fall into that room later as a back loop.
Oh man. So Niram used fairy to get through that room there, and he's gonna have to use it again right here. But so he's probably gonna grind a blue jar off of this spot right here.
Yeah, that's. Is there a small enemy in this room?
He just takes the death. That seems
tough decision.
Yeah, that's especially because he might have been able to go right back down the elevator and kill that pot for a blue jar.
Yeah, no, that's it's a surprising difference between Magic 5 and Magic 6.
Oh wow. Is this room right here required? That can be tough without the jump spell when you got that bubble.
Yeah, he's got
messing with you.
Yeah, you just have to sometimes wait for him. Oh, but it's the little big shake.
Yeah. We're gonna say that's probably not required. Certainly could be helpful in the right circumstance, but
it's enough of a consolation prize for the dead end for sure, because now he's just extended his continue.
Alright, well Niram has finally reached Thunderbird's room again, and he doesn't have enough magic for fairy yet again. Oh wait, he can go up right here. Is this... This is where Dig Shake went. Okay, so yeah, Niram's gonna learn that.
Yeah. He's just a few screens behind Dig Shake at the moment.
But that one up would be pretty helpful to him.
The magic drain mechanic from the skull bubble remains consistent with the original game.
Alright, so this time he's farming the blue jar.
Yeah, one of the things that the racers may have paid attention to, that I certainly did not, was how many kills between the force drops. In the normal game, every 6 kills of a small enemy will yield you a blue jar or a 50-point P bag, and the same for large enemies and a red jar and a 200-point P bag. It's randomized. It could be anything from 4 to 8. So by this point in the game, it usually is at least a little bit helpful to pay attention to whether that number was high or low to make decisions like Nerm just did, and keep track of your count if you're into that sort of thing.
Man, this ability to cast fairy for Dig Shake is
Dig
really
Shake has 112 magic points, and the fairy spell is costing 20, the minimum allowable by the randomizer. So he can cast it 5 times. And then if he gets a blue jar, he can cast it 6 times. Whereas Nerm can cast it once, and then if he gets a blue jar, he can cast it a second time. That's a huge difference.
Right.
If I'm Dig Shake right now, I'm going to use the fairy spell instead of the life spell as much as possible. I'm going to, like, rooms where you just went through, the curtain room, the theater room, I'll probably just fairy most of those. In this situation, I'd be fairying Fire him. For sure. Because you could have avoided at least one of those hits by just skipping. Wowee. So, oh man, nobody knows this technique. Nobody watches me. Nobody watches me. They have 112 magic points. The Dig Shake has found the wrong end of a drop room. He can get into that previous room by falling, and then the way out will be the way he's going. So another fun room, another spicy chicken.
There's certainly been forced to take a lot more lefts in this Great Palace than you would like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and they've seen a couple of the drop exits, and he is out of Fairy's Casts. Nerm also has this
Man,
fun room to deal with.
You know what's notable here is that if Nier really wanted to, if he felt like he needed a little boost, 1900 isn't that much to grind up for Magic 6.
I think that it's possible to get 2000 XP. It was definitely more possible to get that 2000 XP on the continue where he killed Thunderbird.
Right. Yeah, he was up around like 1300 or so.
I think for whatever reason, the spicy chickens don't have their XP randomized. They're always 200. I don't know why that is. But yeah, for sure he could probably find 2000 XP.
I don't understand when people don't break the block below the spicy chickens. You've got to.
Yeah, that
could be just sitting there swinging at an air if you.
Yeah, it bounces and its hitbox goes above your standing sword, so you definitely want to bring it onto your level and push it against the wall whenever possible. Dig Shake is going along. I would not have predicted that just the night and day of Magic 5 and Magic 6, how important they are in this.
Right. Yeah.
That's just incredible. And Dig Shake's passing the Eon room. He definitely does not want to explore that yet. He's seen at least 2 back loop potential spots for that to go. Instead, he's in this room where there's a jar overhead, but I don't think he's going to be particularly interested in it just yet.
He's seen at least 2 drops that go backwards, but there are still drops that could go forwards, and it could be the case where 1 drop leads you directly to Darkwing.
Right. And the more the Great Palace he sees and the more the dead ends he locates, the easier it is to pinpoint whether a drop there's a drop that basically just goes to Darkwing. The way that the Palace logic is programmed to be beatable, the boss of a palace basically counts as the exit. So the palace flow never requires you to use up and A if you're adequately prepared for that palace's requirements. You know, if the fairy's required normally in the palace, then you'll never have to up and A to get out of it, except for some rare cases. But in general, for terms of flow, it lets you pinpoint whether a drop is necessary. Yeah, the lag, the bullet time feature that Dig Shake invented and put in this game makes the experience, the HUD basically have a schism and a seizure at the same time.
Yeah.
Sort of
all you need are a couple of those bird knights throwing swords, and then get a giant bot to show up on the same screen.
Mm-hmm.
Man. So it's looking. Dig Shake has a pretty significant lead in exploration at this point. That fairy spell is really paid off for him.
Yeah. Dig Shake's in an excellent position here.
Right. But it's notable that he's skipped those drops, which could be the right answer to the palace.
Right. If Nerm starts to feel like he's having a hard time, he gets to one of those drops, particularly the Eon drop, he could definitely metagame Dig Shake by taking it. And if it goes to Darklink, that would obviously be a huge shift in momentum here. But yeah, the levels here. Once Thunderbird was dead, and Dig Shake's having a better time in the palace, he's at a clear advantage.
For those who aren't familiar with the lore, last year in the Zelda 2 Randomizer tournament, Dig Shake lost a match because he skipped taking that drop over the lava, and Enchantress of Numbers, Eon, took it and beat him by a very small margin, due to just taking the drop immediately. So it's now called the Eon drop after her.
Yep. It's basically the exact. I mean, the exact same thing could happen here. They decide to take that drop. And Dig Shake he's got to take a drop now. It looks like, kind of, once you have to take one, you just take it, and maybe it backloops you, maybe it doesn't. So
looks good right now.
I don't recall that. Yeah, I think that's a good one. The other one went into an elevator room. The bad one. I didn't notice. And Nurm just fell into the bad one. Did he just take the Eon?
Oh, I didn't see. Did he take the Eon?
If he took the Eon, he just got back looped. Whatever drop he took, he was basically... I don't know that maybe it's a back loop for him, but in terms of what we know, it's not forward progress. It's sideways progress, maybe.
Yep. Nirm realizes that he's gone backwards. That's just that's kind of a luck thing there, pretty much. That
Yep.
Dig Shakes went forwards and Nirm's went backwards.
Well, Dig Shakes found Darklink.
Oh my goodness.
It's an incredible shift of momentum.
Right.
And that, yeah.
Pretty much just due to the cost of the fairy spell. Huh?
Yeah, it really, you can put it all on the cost of the fairy spell, I think. And there was no reason for Dig Shake to expect that Magic 6 was going to make Fairy go down to an incredibly low cost. That's just is really... It went from 58 to 20. 58 is 2 points from the max at Magic 5, and 20 is the minimum at Magic 6. That's just crazy.
So, I don't think it's unexpected at all that Dig Shake wins a race here, but the manner in which he won it was
absolutely unexpected. Yeah, that was.
Hello.
Hello. Congratulations.
Thanks. I feel like I kind of got away with one there.
You did.
Oh.
You did. Do you want to guess what the hugest difference is between you and Nurm right now? And it's just one thing. It's literally one numerical value. What is it?
Magic 6 was pretty sweet.
Magic 6 was pretty sweet, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was. I mean, the spell cost dropped dramatically, so I was casting Fairy and Life all over the place.
Would you say that it's a common characteristic for Magic 6 to be a big boon?
That's a good question. I don't really think so. Actually, Magic 3 stands out in my mind as being a key level, and Magic 5 stands out in my mind as being a key level, but not usually Magic 6. So,
we have Nurm in the channel now, too. Good game.
Hello.
Hey.
Congratulations, sir.
Thanks. You probably actually played better than I did.
Not in GP, I didn't.
Yeah. So, what I want to ask, I think, Nurm, I wanted to ask, at what points in the game did you feel like you had a very good chance to be ahead?
When I went back with the trophy right after getting it to get Thunder,
Yeah,
I had a
for
feeling
sure.
like I was probably ahead of the game there.
Oh yeah. So to recap, Nurm was basically largely focused on the overworld. He'd beaten palaces 1 and 3, the two smallest palaces, and having focused on the eastern overworld, located the trophy with a little bit. You'd search most of the overworld by the time you found it, and
Yeah.
and immediately up and Aing from the trophy to check what it was, gave the thunder spell. Dig Shake took a different approach, kind of checking palaces that he was clearing, looking for items.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you even had the trophy for a little while before you cashed it in.
Yeah, that's true.
You got enough stuff that you could check all of New Kasuto, the 2 items in the spell, and then eventually went back and got your thunder spell. But yeah, Nerm, you were playing very well, and we had every reason to think that you were very much in the lead. You had a huge advantage until we realized the huge difference between Magic 5 and 6.
Yeah, I was being only able to cast Fairy once in that in GP was a nightmare.
Yeah, that was a wild scenario. You were how many minutes ahead?
I don't even want to know.
It wasn't a lot.
I'm not sure I want to know either.
It was only I'd say it was less than 5 minutes ahead, but Magic 6 was 20 magic points for Fairy, which meant that Dig Shake could cast it 6 times. If he got even 1 blue jar, he could cast it 5 times and then a 6 with the blue jar. And at 58 magic with 112 magic points, if it even been 2 points cheaper to cast Fairy, you could have casted it twice without stopping. But you can only cast it once, and that was a huge difference. Once Thunderbird was down, Dig Shake was attack 5. It was basically Dig Shake's being able to run away with it.
Yeah, it didn't look so good for Dig Shake when he took a death to Thunderbird, and things were looking like everything was going Nirm's way, kind of, except for that whole fairy cost, and then 2 fairy rooms being required immediately, and all of these tough fun rooms that you would love to fairy over. But there was just no way to get it done.
So did you game over, Nir?
I game over twice.
Oh, man. I was worried about the drops, because you ran into that one drop room right by the front door.
I definitely didn't want to take drops either. And in fact, my second time through, I went the other way, which I don't know. That's when I game overed again. Actually, I guess the last one would be a third game over. But yeah, it was rough. Not being able to cast Fairy, knowing that Magic 6, 5 times versus 1 is a little ridiculous. But what can you do?
Yeah, it's a very unexpected outcome. We were shocked. So I think there's one thing that stood out that we just kind of wanted to know. Dig Shake was after, I think, right around the time you went to New Kasuto. You kind of paused briefly in the overworld, like you were trying to make a decision, and there were a lot of choices and you couldn't pick one right away.
After New Kasuto?
Yeah.
Well, I knew I was going to clear 4.
Right.
And
before New Kasuto. I think maybe before New Kasuto, were you trying to remember how to get to it?
I never found it. I didn't know where the heck it was. So I walked into a town expecting it to be Kasuto, and it was like Darunia or something.
Yeah.
I was very surprised.
Okay. And you were sitting, like when you picked up the trophy, and then all that other time you were exploring in the east with the trophy, you were just so close to getting a level up.
Yeah. No, that my leveling, I feel like I actually screwed up, even though somehow miraculously it ended up making a big difference. But I could have been 6, 6, 7. I feel like instead of or even 6, 7, 7. There were a couple times when I should have had levels and didn't take them, and got really close when I was placing gems and just didn't quite get there.
Yeah.
Oh man, Palace 5 pissed me off. I thought I lost the race at Palace 5.
Yeah, you were in Palace 5 early. compared to Nurm. And ended up, did you even locate the item, or did you just have to
No.
leave? Yeah.
Never found it.
Yeah,
Got
just
key
dead-ended.
blocks. And
Oh, and you also had, you had the key block as well, where you had to up an A because you were stuck.
yeah.
That was a bit of a ball buster, but you know, things happen.
Yep.
So you guys have, this is just the first race in a best of 3 series. Your next race is tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah, at 10:30, right? 10:30 Eastern.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it was a really good match. This was just a real huge changes in momentum.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So it was very exciting, and hopefully tomorrow night you'll get another great match for everybody to watch.
Yeah. Thanks, Unos and Jay Coper, for the commentary.
Sure.
Yep, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for the great race. Great performance by both of you. Tough end for Nirm, but you held your own for most of the race.
Yeah.
It's alright, I'll win the next 2. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You,
good luck with that.
No, you played a really great race, and even though you had everything required to beat the game, Nurm, you continued to dig because you understood the threat that Grand Palace was going to present. You're looking, like the life spell and more magic and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was definitely concerned about GP for good reason, and
Yeah.
fortunately I didn't choose the right thing to get through it, which was more
It's
magic levels.
just bad luck in a way.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, also bad luck that I think you did take the Yan drop eventually, right?
I never saw it, no.
Oh,
It's
it
different
seemed
drop
like you
then.
took some drop and it went
was one of
to a place that you had already been.
No, there were 2 rooms that looked really similar, but they were different rooms.
Okay.
There was 2 of the upstairs rooms, I think.
Yeah, there were, for sure.
Huh. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know. It looked like you had fallen into that room. Or sounded
Yeah.
like it. But yeah. Well, it was a great race and really looking forward to tomorrow night's race as well.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So, let's see. Next up on Speed Gaming, it would look like there is more Diddy Kong Racing coming at you right away. So we'll let you guys get over to that. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yep, see you guys later. Thank you.